Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Jose here, welcoming you to another conversation, another opinion piece, some thoughts, coffee and comics. There we go. So today, you may be aware of this already. I am a little bit late into the news here, but I think it's worth highlighting and why I think we are seeing the end of DC Comics as we've come to know and understand it for the last so many years. So basically, I think I've got reasons to believe that DC Comics is going to die. It's in its current incarnation, DC Comics as a comic selling company is dead. It's in its last gasp. Its days are numbered. Why do I think that? Several reasons, but chiefly and the more important of all of them, number one is, if you're not aware, DC Comics is actually owned by Warner Brothers, the movie making studios, which is why Warner Brothers makes all the DC superhero movies. But Warner Brothers is actually owned by AT&T, the giant telecoms company. And priorities and business objectives mean that DC Comics matters not one bit to AT&T. I will leave in the description below links to all the articles on all my sources of all my numbers. But basically, there are estimates out there that put DC's contribution to AT&T bottom line profit line to about 0.2% of all revenue, not even profit, just revenue. So DC Comics generates 0.2% of all AT&T's business. What do AT&T care about DC Comics? Now, from what I understand, AT&T, it's the only thing they're trying to do now is to rival Disney Plus and Netflix, and they're trying to launch, well, they've already launched, but they're trying to establish HBO Max as a viable alternative subscription platform of content to rival all the other digital streaming providers. So, HBO Max is called the HBO series. It's got all the Warner Brothers back catalog and movies and superhero movies. So they're trying to push that. And if you think about it, superhero movies, a lot of people watch superhero movies, a lot more Marvel than DC, because I don't think Warner Brothers have done a great job with the intellectual property. Yes, the first Wonder Woman movie was good. The Nolan Batman trilogy did well, but the rest have been really poor. They've been really poor adaptations. Batman v Superman, Justice League, it's been atrocious. And a lot of the people that go watch those superhero movies don't give a rat's ass about the comics. They don't. Because you got a movie that generates billions of dollars worldwide in revenue, and comics are not selling anywhere near that. And people that watch the movies don't care about what's canon and what's not in the comics. So actually, you don't need the comics to make superhero movies. The characters have been established for so long, they're part of the cultural psyche and therefore are totally unnecessary. And in case you weren't aware, over the last year or so, there's been 3 or 4 rounds of layoffs at DC Comics. They're trying to streamline, they're trying to get rid of, just trim down the fat, turn into a much more profitable company. So people have been there for years. More recently, Dan Didio, director, senior executive, DC, been there for years. He's not there anymore. And what happens with these kind of things is that the person that was below wasn't quite good enough to make it there. So they're promoting people above the level of competence. And the quality of writing and the quality of storytelling is just not what it used to be. So there you go. Reason number one, DC has got its numbers, it's got its days numbered. It just is not a priority for the parental overlords for AT&T. Now, this is my opinion, but I think it's got some traction out there. I think that DC and the DC superheroes as an idea are done. Superman has been around since 1938 and Batman since 1939. That's 80 years of telling me stories about these superheroes. There's nothing they can come up with they haven't told me already. As an idea, these characters are done. They are done. I mean, how many times have we killed Batman? How many times have we killed Superman, brought them back to life? We had them on parallel universes. We've seen old Batman. We've seen Batman in the 20s. For God's sakes, we've even seen Batman fight Cthulhu. We had that crossover. We have Batman and Judge Dredd. They've done it all. What Batman story can you tell me you haven't told me already? So, I think creativity by design, because these characters are so old, it's just dried up. Furthermore, the problem with DC Comics is that it's now gone into a bit of a cycle of every 5 years rebooting its whole universe, which is not going to help attract new readers. So back in 2011, they rebooted the whole DC universe after the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think it was, Flashpoint series. Anyway, in 2011, they restarted the whole universe. It was called the New 52. 5 years later, 2016, what happens? Reboot the universe again. They call it the DC Rebirth. And guess what's happened 5 years later in 2021? They're going to restart, they're going to reboot it again. It's called 5G or the fifth generation, whatever. They've rebooted everything again. So you're asking people to buy into all these new titles, this reimagining of characters. And 5 years later, you're going to tell them, well, forget about all of that. We're starting again, and then we're starting again. And we're going to start again in 2026. I don't see that endearing yourself to a new customer base. But anyway, another aspect, and this is a bit controversial. I don't want to get too bogged down with this, but I think it's a factor. The DC and Marvel, to a degree, but we're talking about DC, has seen a bit of a shift in its editorial line towards more what people term woke or SJW type content. Now, I don't care. If that's what you want to do, that is fine. But you've got to be careful, because if that alienates your customer base and that annoys your customer base, you cannot then accuse them of isms because they don't like your product. Because at the end of the day, any business, any industry, you make a product. And if people like it, they will buy it. And if they don't like it, they won't buy it. And you fail or succeed on your own merit, or knowing what your customer base wants and providing them with that product. But you cannot force a customer base to like a product if they don't. So, for example, they did this whole reimagining of the Batman Gotham thing called Gotham High. So they set all, the Penguin, Batman, everyone in a kind of high school, modern day environment type thing, where they reimagined Batman as being a nation kid, millionaire type thing, and all social media stuff. Fine, some people like it, but that's clearly going to be aimed at a new audience, at a different audience to your traditional Batman comic buying audience. And I'm pretty certain that your traditional Batman audience is just not going to like that. It's not what they want. We want our superheroes to be that. Superheroes to do things we cannot do, to embody and present ideals and standards that are unachievable to us, to serve as inspiration. We don't want our superheroes to be, emo teenagers dealing with normal everyday issues, because that's not what, in my mind, superheroes are for. There is a place in literature, there's a place I'm showing in comics as well, where that is a viable product. But you cannot shoehorn it into superheroes, because I don't think it works. I don't think people want that. There's been a bit of controversy with the latest. They've got a bit of a YA line of comics now. I Am Not Starfire, where the superhero Starfire, one of the Teen Titans, grows up. Starfire meant to be the super hot alien chick, and now she's got this emo daughter that hates her mum, because her mum is a super sexy, hot, attractive, super powered superhero, and she's just this moderately overweight, not particularly attractive looking, plumpy teenager going through an emo phase. who, what Batman, what Teen Titans, what Superman, what Green Lantern comic buyer is going to want to read that? I'm not saying it doesn't have a place, but people, your traditional customer base is not going to be particularly attracted to that kind of content. And then obviously we had the Fat Wonder Woman cover thing, which again, it was just a variant for the Wonder Woman 1984 comic. And, they decided to, do a twist on the Wonder Woman character. Big deal. Who cares? But a lot of people do. And the problem with retconning and the problem with reimagining all these characters is that it annoys people. These characters have been established for so long that these reimaginations don't really serve any purpose. I'm almost certain I want to say that they're just there to create controversy. Because if I say Wonder Woman to you, you're going to be thinking of this, not this. It's just what it is. These are not just my rumblings. This is not just me making stuff up, okay? So in terms of the contribution to the overall revenue of AT&T by DC Comics, I read that on the Motley Fool article, which I'll leave a link below. And also further proof that superheroes are just falling out of vogue, or people are not that interested anymore in the stories that they've got to tell. Maybe people are tired of superheroes. Is that in terms of sales, for the first time in forever, manga is outselling superheroes in the US, probably across the world. So I've got some numbers again that I'm just going to leave there and quote. But basically, now manga represents about 28% of the total graphic novel market. Doesn't seem like a lot. But it turns out that superheroes now represent, you would never even think about it. Because if anyone says comics, you think superheroes, right? Well, superhero graphic novels comic sales are less than 10% of the total market share. And they've fallen over 9% year on year. People don't care about superheroes anymore. Why? Maybe multitude of reasons. Maybe everything I said before, maybe they're tired, maybe they're too old, maybe these characters are not interesting anymore, maybe the stories aren't that good anymore, maybe manga has come up with a magic formula. I don't know. But if your product is not selling, if your competitors are outselling you in a year of the pandemic where sales are suffering, where comic book stores cannot open, blaming people on isms for not liking your product, it's just putting your blinders on. And it's probably, there's a bit of cognitive dissonance going on there. So, those are the facts, those are the figures, those are the theories why superheroes may be a bit of a tired product by now. Maybe the whole movie universe that has come up since Marvel took over has just got people fed up and tired of comics, or they just rather consume it in movie TV show format than in comic format. It's a lot easier. I don't know. But what do I think? If I was AT&T, which I wish I was, but I'm not. The money in superheroes is not in comics anymore. The Marvel Universe, the Warner Bros. DC EU universe, extended universe, cinematic universe type thing, that's where the money is at. The money is on the intellectual property, on exploiting the rights to those characters, but not on writing comics. And not particularly when you got rid of all the talent that you had over the last year with massive layoffs and scaling down of operations. Plus, comic book stores are closed. You cannot sell the comics in physical stores. Amazon doesn't sell single issue comics. Where are you going with this? I reckon, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon, I can see AT&T selling the intellectual property of those superheroes, or just licensing those superheroes. Maybe DC publishing will cease to exist, and AT&T may license out for a number of years Batman, and maybe some will come in, maybe Image Comics. I'm just surmising here. Maybe Marvel. Maybe someone, maybe some big company will come in and buy the rights for Batman. Maybe some studio. Maybe Amazon Studios. Maybe Netflix will buy Green Lantern for the next so many years and exploit Green Lantern however they see fit. Whether it's in comic book, whether it's as a TV show, a series, whatever. Maybe that's where the money is at. And just sell them to the best bidder and take it from there. Anyway, those are my thoughts, those are my ideas. This is the current state of the comic book industry, not helped by the pandemic, but also not helped by decisions taken in-house. So long as Vertigo label finishes printing the Hellblazer series, which I think they have, under the Vertigo label, I'm happy, because that's the only bit of DC Comics I'm interested in now. And after that, I'll move on with my life onto other things. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. Take lots of care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.